Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter at @MagpieVincey. Thank you very much.
Losing time, I'm fading fast.
Hi everyone, this time's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be on video for this one, just going to record some audio as well, as you can see. And we're going to be talking about the confirmed transfer of one Sven Botman. Long drawn out process, this one. Obviously, since January, he's been Eddie Howe's top defensive target. And honestly, this lad's quality. Champions League footballer. I saw him playing against Chelsea, and I have to admit he didn't look too impressive in that game. However, we're all allowed to have bad days at the office. Other than that game, I haven't really seen much of him playing. But looking at the stats online, you can see the lad is quality, and you don't become the Dutch under-21 captain for no reason. So he looks phenomenal. He looks great. Jose Fonte's been on Talk Sport recently a couple of times talking about the young lad. Obviously, he was his defensive partner over at Lille. Now, he has had nothing but nice things to say in regards to Sven Botman. So, it does excite me. And I think that the future's starting to look bright. This is a young lad that could be, like a lot of people are saying, our Vincent Kompany signing. So he could be here for the long haul, could be one for the future, and is even a potential future captain, given his credentials with the captaincy for the Dutch under-21s. Now, other people have likened him to a young version of Van Dijk, and there have been questions raised in regards to his pace tracking back. Now, I did also read another article that said the young man had tried to rectify that by, taking different courses and doing extra training in the area of, trying to increase his agility and quickness. So I would imagine that under Eddie in pre-season, they'd find what they need to improve with the young man, which I can't imagine is too much given the size of some of the clubs that were interested in him. But he will benefit from being around Premier League experience like Trippier, Byrne, Matty Target. In that defence, I mean, he'll benefit from having them around him, especially somebody like Fabian Schär, who is a similar sort of player to him. Now, Sven Botman's well known for being a very good ball player, and his ability to play that ball is ridiculous. I'm just getting some stats up on my screen now, which I can give you. And from what I can recall, his passing accuracy is ridiculous. Now, last season for LOSC Lille, he did play 25 games with 3 goals and 1 assist. Now, he got 4 yellow cards, which isn't massive in comparison to some of the players that we've had. But what does concern me is that his tackling isn't considered one of his strong suits. Now, in the air, winning the ball, phenomenal. His passing, phenomenal. His concentration on the pitch is second to none. And I have seen compilations of his tackling, and he looks great in the compilations, but the stats all point to the same thing, really, which is it's somewhere that can be improved. And for me, it would mean that I would ideally prefer to play him with somebody like Dan Byrne rather than Fabian Schär, because Scher's got the same issue. Phenomenal player, great ball playing defender, but hasn't really got the ability to track back and get that crucial tackle in if needs be. Now, Schär thrived under Eddie Howe second half of the season, but that was because he was playing next to somebody of Dan Byrne's stature who was able to track back and get that tackle in. Fabian it wasn't really. He would give away more fouls than not. But when you go back to looking at Sven Botman, obviously stats don't tell the whole story. So it could just be that the amount of tackle percentage that he's won isn't great, but that could mean he's made half of his tackles in the middle half of the pitch. So that's really not something that concerns me. But what does sort of shine a light on the opposite of that is that he was in the top 5 players in League One to have in the top 5 in challenges won percentage bracket. So very, very good player. And in the 1v1s, he was in the top 10. So he won 74% of his challenges in League One, so he was the 4th best player to do so. In the 1v1s, he was 6th, which is phenomenal. He blocked 22 shots. And yeah, his defensive work cannot go amiss for Lille. He did terrific for them. And his expected goals per game in Ligue 1 was 2.55, which for a defender is absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, it's crazy, to be honest with you. Now, if we look at it per game, 0.1 goal expectancy, which you can gather, he's a centre-back. It's not going to be exceptionally high. What does surprise me is the amount of pass interceptions that the young man made. So it's on average 6.88%. Sorry, 6.88 interceptions per game in Ligue 1. Aerial challenges 4.44, tackles 1.76, and that's where the issue lies. So his aerial ability is not under question. His interceptions are phenomenal. His blocks 1.12 per game, brilliant. The tackles per game 1.76. Now that isn't great. Just for clarification, that's 228th in Ligue 1, whereas the blocks are 19th, aerial challenges he's 41st, and pass interceptions he's 31st. So some areas of his defensive work do need some training. That being said, for what we've got him for and for what he's going to be, this looks like an incredible piece of business. The young man is going to be a top defender and hopefully for a long while yet. So I think we can all be very excited by this. I think we can all look forward to the next signing that's coming in. I'm hoping personally it'll be Christian Eriksen, although there were reports today that he was after £200,000 a week, which is way, way beyond the scopes of our wage structure currently. So it wouldn't make sense for us to go for him just yet. As much as I'd love him at the club, I think he'd be a terrific signing. Paqueta is a potential now that we've got Sven Botman, because AC Milan will not get any of that 15% to put towards Botman. So he could be another option that we could get. And let's face it, there is interest from Newcastle. Whether that will come to fruition this season or next season is another matter. We also could be looking at Guiri, the young striker in France. Now, he's got a phenomenal record at the moment. Last season over there, he played 38 games, scored 10 and assisted 9. Now, 19 goal interactions for the young man is incredible. And I think that Amin Guiri should be our main target. Now, he's only 22, so he would be fitting in with what Eddie Howe wants to do. Now, obviously, as we all know, Ekitike has, well, let's face it, a greedy agent that has more than likely prevented his transfer to us now. And he'll probably end up staying at Ram, because I cannot see anybody looking at him and thinking that they want to deal with his agent after the way that we got messed around. So best of luck to him, but I hope his career falls off a bridge. The agents, not Ekitike's. Ekitike, I feel, is just young and being misguided. So if he had the right kind of character behind him for an agent, then potentially it's something that we could revisit. But unless the guy comes back to us with a heartfelt apology, you caught me, you saw what I was trying to do, apologies, I'm just trying to do best for myself and my client. If we get that kind of apology, phenomenal, off you go, mate. That's absolutely no problem, and we'll all get this sorted. But don't see it happening. So I would say the Ekitike deal is off that now. So Guiri would be my choice. I know a lot of people were hoping Skamaka would be another striker's choice that we could get. However, I do think that he is going to be going to PSG. And the other one that I've been hearing people band around is Armando Broja. Now, for me, I know he's only 20, but he's just not good enough currently, in my opinion. He's played 32 games for Southampton, only scored 6. It's not good enough in the grand scheme of things, to be honest with you. So, no, not for me. I would rather get this Guiri 19 goal influences in, 6 more games than Broja played for Southampton. And obviously Guiri's also had experience in the French Cup and the Europa League. 5 games in each of those competitions and 6 goals between them. So not a bad little run out for the young man, which would be better for us, I believe. So he's a huge future talent for French football, Guiri, and I would take him in a heartbeat. Obviously, we're going to need a right winger. Diaby is obviously the preferred choice for most people. I really, truly hope that if this Ekitike deal is dead in the water, that the money we were going to use for that we could reinvest and just go all in for him. Because this young man obviously did phenomenally well for Leverkusen. So for me, he would be my first choice. 13 goals and 12 assists in 32 Bundesliga matches. It says everything you need to know, really. And in the Europa League, 4 goals, 2 assists in 8 games. So he's got very, very good quality. And Leverkusen recently signed Edozie from Man City, who can play in Diaby's position. So there is every chance that they signed Edozie as a potential replacement for him were we to make that move. And I really hope that we do. So, other than Diaby, Ismail Assar is another one that's been linked. I personally wouldn't. He didn't do much for Watford last season. It's a difficult one, Ismail Assar, because the guy's got quality. He does have quality. And, 22 games, 5 goals, 2 assists for Watford last season. But it was only... I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Do we want a player who is kind of a half-hearted attitude, really? He'll play to his fullest in certain games, and then in the next match, he'll do nothing. Personally, it is a no for me, for the one reason that the money that they're going to ask for is going to be ridiculous, and there's a better alternative in Torgan Hazard if we wanted to go down a different route. Obviously, he's a bit older, Hazard, but 4 goals, 1 assist in 23 matches. It's a similar kind of goals and assists record to Ismail Assar, and we know that we'd be able to get him for roughly 15 million from Borussia Dortmund. So for me, he would be my preferred target as a backup target to Diaby. That being said, somebody that nobody has looked at as of yet would be Angel Correa. Now, whether or not we could prize him away from AC Milan Atletico Madrid, not AC Milan, Atletico Madrid. If we could prize him away from them, I feel he would be absolutely perfect for that role because he can play as a striker or a winger. So yeah, that would be my personal preference if Diaby is unavailable. But obviously, we're just going to have to wait and see what the owners want to do. Now, we've made plenty of quality signings so far with Pope, Target, and Botman. Now, the question is, can we get anyone else in? Now, I've done a few polls on Twitter. Diaby is the preferred target for the wing, and Ericsson came runner-up in another poll to Diaby as to who we should sign. Now, the other question that I also have is Andrea Bellotti is a young man who is on a free transfer currently. Would we take him as a striker? He's got all the qualities, I think, to be a great striker in the Premiership. You know, he's done it in Italy for I believe it was Torino, and I think he could do great things in the Premiership. I feel like he is basically Callum Wilson but Italian. So that could be a potential move. And as we all know, Paulo Dybala was supposed to sign for Inter and hasn't. Now, this one is a long stretch, but if the owners were looking to make a marquee signing and they were looking to get somebody in that could add real quality and add real character to the team, Paulo Dybala would be phenomenal. Now, whether or not he'd turn into a James Rodriguez for us, like Rodriguez when he turned to Everton, and you know he'd have a good game here and there, but ultimately not be good enough really for what they were paying him and for what they wanted him for. I don't know, but he could be brilliant. Aiko is also another one that's on a free transfer. Again, though, the wages might prove a stumbling block. The free transfer market has got a huge amount of players on there. I mean, Jesse Lingard, obviously we were linked with in January. Then you've got players like Christian Eriksen, as previously mentioned, Dybala. The list goes on. I mean, there is a ridiculous amount of players without clubs, and I'm sure our owners will be looking into that market eventually, especially if the Eriksen rumours are to be believed. Now, the odds on us signing Christian Eriksen have gone down dramatically from 14 to 1, and it's, I believe, at the moment around 6 to 1 for him to sign for us. I don't see him going to Manchester United for the one reason that if they sign Frankie de Jong, and it looks like they're going to, then they're going to have a complete and utter ridiculous amount of midfield players. You know, they've got Fred, McTominay, Bruno, de Jong if he arrives. They don't need another midfielder who plays in that central sort of attacking midfielder role. What they need are defensive midfielders and holding midfielders to back up those attacking players. And Eriksen's not going to be that player that comes in and does that for them. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, that transfer, because the money he's asking for is ridiculous. Just as Jesse Lingard's demands were pretty ridiculous too. I mean, the young man was after, I think, £150,000 a week. And it's not feasible, is it? I mean, let's face it, the guy is 29, 30 now, and yeah, he's not played for pretty much an entire season. There's no guarantees he'd even make the first team squad for the first 10 games of the season because he still needs to build match fitness. So that one's a huge no for me on Lingard's front. I'd let West Ham have him. He did good things for them. They'll enjoy having him back, and I wouldn't begrudge that move for him. But Christian Eriksen is one that I do like the look of. Whether or not we could entice him away from London and and Brentford. And I know Gabby Agbonlahor would be absolutely delighted if we couldn't. But yeah, it seems like for me the most likely deal that we could get done, purely for the fact that there is no fee involved. So I would love to see it happen. Whether it does or not, we shall see. But for the moment, everyone, let's just revel in the fact that we have signed one of the most highly rated young defenders in world football under the nose of AC Milan. And my goodness, the outpouring of saltiness from those fans is ridiculous. The Italian media have been basically covering their own asses by saying how they were never going to be able to compete with us financially. Lille were giving AC Milan a hard time to raise their offer. End of the day, if they couldn't afford him, why would they do it? There's no point. It's ridiculous. Just stop being salty. You're going to move on to another target. Get him. I don't begrudge AC Milan anything. At the end of the day, we both went in fairly. We won the transfer race. It's done. That's it. Move on. Instead, you've got the salty, bitter fans messaging every Newcastle fan they can find online and saying how much the young man is awful. Just like some Sunderland fans I've seen when mentioned that he played Sunderland for his old club and beat them. And now we're getting an outpouring of Sunderland fans saying how poor he actually is. But there you go. You can't win with some people, can you? I mean, the saltiness will be rife for all. I can taste it at this very moment. It's fantastic. But anyway, thank you very much for listening in, everybody. And I hope you have a good one. And I shall see you on the next one.